Start recording button I was looking for. All right. So the reason I am recording this, Jacob, is because I'm kind of keeping track of a lot of the progress and things I'm learning. Excuse me. And part of this has really been a journey for me in figuring out the best way to capture ideas and use them. Like I know from our talks you deal with the same type of stuff as far as solving problems. And like we were just like literally 5 minutes ago, I was just talking to you about the fact that things keep coming up and it never gets resolved because everybody forgets about it. So Gary Susi actually showed me this NotebookLM. And have you used it or since I shared with you?
No, I haven't used it since last night.
So it's really, really cool because you basically you take all your information, all your sources and stuff, put it all into one, and then it's just its own self-contained area. It's not pulling information from outside sources or anything that confuse it or that you don't know where it's coming from. You have control over everything that's there. So it's that self-contained model that makes it appropriate for what I'm talking about, like analyzing, meetings or ideas or flows of thought or whatever, stream of thought, stream of consciousness. So what I've been doing is really doing walks and stuff, and when I take my walks I'll just use a voice recorder and that's my notes. And I've done it to like plan my day. I've done it to just like talk about whatever's on my mind or whatever, or if I have an idea pop in my head, I immediately can just pull up my phone and start recording, and I can transfer all of that stuff over to text, or actually it goes into audio, the system that I'm using, then it's going into a OneNote file, and then I can just drag the OneNote file into that. And in that video that I shared, like I show you that process. It's pretty straightforward. But you were asking about like how could that be used? We were talking about how could you make that finance where you get money
To monetize.
Yeah,
Right.
and how that works. And I think you can apply it to different things. So if you think about it from like just an organization standpoint, it's a good, I don't know, let's say you were to take have a list of groceries. So we've talked about this in the past. You were talking about like a scanner, I think, to scan barcodes and stuff. So let's take that idea and put this into that framework. So if you're taking a scanner and you're creating your catalog or whatever, and you get a way to put that information into the source. So that's like your internal thing or whatever. And then you've got maybe your inventory that you're keeping up with, however that mechanism goes. But you've got it all into that system that's accessible to you as a consumer, like everyday, day-to-day use. And then you can just start asking questions like, I want to make and then let's say you have a recipes list too, right? So for me personally, I've got a box of recipes from my grandmother's old stash, like little tin. It's got all the cards in it and stuff. And what I'm going to do, what I plan on doing, is taking pictures of all of those cards, dumping them into dumping the images into something like this, what I could do. And then so it has all of the recipes and stuff. And then let's say I've got that scanned ingredient list or whatever of the stuff that I have. I put that in there. Then I can start asking, all right, what recipe can I make tonight? Based on the ingredients that I have. Or if you wanted to take that from a personal, and let's say you're a restaurant or whatever and managing your inventory, this would be a way to do something like that. So there's that kind of application, and then there's also the application I was talking to Amanda today about, where she's a paralegal and deals with a whole bunch of stuff in different areas, and I've asked her about processes because she'll talk about people asking her questions and stuff, and she's been there for a long time and knows the answers, blah blah blah. And so I'm always like, well, do you have that stuff written down? Like, do they have a way to like look it up, and rather than go and ask you, do they have a way to reference it themselves? And then the answer is yes. And then, but there's something to asking for help on things, I guess. So even to have what I want to do is take. I asked her, when she goes back to work, get a zip file of all her, because she breaks stuff down into like documents, like how-to documents and stuff, and I do the same thing. Yeah, like several folder levels and stuff. And I was like, all right, give me your bankruptcy file folder, zip it up. Don't put any like personal information. If you have like client information, all that stuff, don't include that. But just like, because she was like, we have templates and all this stuff. I was like, send it over to me, and I'll play with it in Notebook, because I think basically what you could do is, all right, I've got all these templates and stuff. I've got all these procedures and things that I have to do. So now I can use it as a chat bot basically and say, hey, how do I do this? And I can just ask the question of that there. I can make training materials out of that information if I really want to basically say, all right, well, I want to make this training material, break down the most important steps or whatever. Or if I need to fill out a form, I could say, all right, here's the client's information that I know is going to go into this form. I need, or into several forms, print out, make these forms for me with the client's information filled out into it across several forms instead of having to do 4 forms, one after the other.
So if I can interject at this point, that's a great summary of those 2 different concepts to go down. One speaks to me a lot more than the others, because when you talk about anything with ingredients and retail and grocery and CPGs, that's my forte. I love that stuff. I could see a way to monetize it on that side as well, because if you do, say, the ingredient list, right, for a recipe, let's say butter chicken, right, an Indian recipe, what's in butter chicken? And then it pulls up the ingredient list. Well, if enough people in a certain demographic look up butter chicken, how to make it, you could actually then sell that data to the retailers in that region. You could sell that data to couponers in that region, like Ibotta. You can sell that data to the CPGs in that region that are trying to push local products, right? So there's always different ways to monetize that data, because if you have enough people in a demographic looking up certain things, then it becomes valuable. Then should we do promotions based on this time of year for butter chicken, or we're going to Thanksgiving? Is there a dish in Thanksgiving that people typically wouldn't make that retailers aren't thinking about to put promotions on, right? Like my family, we like green bean casserole, but we prefer carrot casserole. It's a cheesy alternative, right? So green bean casserole is the typical Thanksgiving meal casserole you do for Thanksgiving, but for us, we like carrot casserole, right? So we look up the recipe for carrot casserole. So you could definitely go down different avenues with that to monetize it based on the data that you'd be getting from this potential platform you're thinking about building. On the other side of it, I know you definitely have a caveat for the processes and processes of businesses and organizations and so forth, because that's your forte. I could definitely see where that could be valuable too for like a small law firm to try to optimize their procedures and to get real-time information faster, and like you said, almost like a chat bot. Instead of going to a person like Amanda who may be busy, maybe in meetings, maybe on a call, maybe out sick, maybe on vacation, and she's the SME, well, she could build a whole database based on this processes, outsource it to you, make the chatbot situation, and then it's just like a monthly fee or a one-time flat fee or whatever it may be that you can monetize it that way. And obviously, if you look down to doing a monthly fee, you can always say you can always add on to it. And a one-time fee would be a flat, this is a one-time thing based on what you're bringing to me. Definitely see different avenues you can go down with that.
Yeah, I like that service model that you just pointed out, as far as like, all right, you've got a small law firm or whatever that has these documents, that batch of documents and procedures already. Just get those over, because it's exactly what I'm doing with Amanda. Saying, hey, just give me the stuff, give me what you have for information, and then I'll just build a case around it and see what happens. So I think, and the way that I talked to her about this, in a way to experiment with it well, or to prove it out as far as being valuable, because in that conversation I had with her this morning, the pushback was, well, it's pretty efficient, like I can do these things, and then I mentioned time saving. I was like, well, you're going to be saving time in like those processes, like people coming up and asking you, you're going to save time in your day. And then the response then was like, well, that's not where I lose my time. So, and I had to like
You do
I,
in that aspect, because if someone comes up and bothers you for 5 or 10 minutes and you're on a task, one, that 5 or 10 minutes is being eaten up by chit chat, conversation, and answering a question, which may not seem a lot to you, but 5 people come up in your day, that's almost an hour worth of time gone. Plus, whatever you're working on, you were writing deep thought about it. Now you got to orient yourself back into your deep thought of what you were just doing, right? So it's just like when you kind of distract yourself with your cell phone, you get a text message, and you go back to work, you're not fully 100% where you were previously, right? Because you lost your train of thought. So I see what Amanda's saying, but also I believe this could help optimize it as well.
yeah, absolutely. And the other factor that is the time that you're creating there. Ultimately, if you look at, you've got, let's say, 8 hours in the day to do your work, and then if you're saving time here, you can apply that saved time to something else. So if you're saying that it's taking, well, my time suck is in this process over here, well, all right, so do you take that time that you saved in this process, apply that time to either improving the time, like focusing on improving that time in the other process, or do whatever you need to do to, you know, whatever you would. The point is, the time is open now. You've
Exactly.
created time for yourself to do what you will with. So
And not only did you save yourself time, you saved the person coming to you with the question time, right? Because they were spinning their wheels probably before they came to you for a few minutes, and then they had to ask you. So you had saved time on both sides.
absolutely.
And then and the aggregate is the law firms actually be more efficient.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's just look at this like a general walkthrough. That way you can like ask any specific questions as going through. But like this is the site, and it's just notebooklm.google, and then you try notebooklm and just use your Google account, and then I've got two notebooks that I created already, and then this is one that I just created to just drop sources into and play with a little bit. And one of the things that I noticed or had learned with the notebooks, it's not like
Can I pause you for a
ChatGPT.
second, Dre?
Yep.
I know you mid. Am I supposed to click on the watch stream to watch what you're doing, or are you going to share your screen?
I thought I was sharing my screen. Can you not see it?
I cannot see it. All I see is us, and I see another pop up says watch stream,
Yeah,
and it
click
looks like
that.
to be a. Let me click on that. There we go. Okay.
Fair.
Apologies. My first time on this platform, so I'm learning as I go.
No. It's new to me as well. So in here, like in the notebook, I'll go back. So these are the notebooks that I
Yep.
have, and then if I go into, this was the first one I did, I think. Yeah. So these are all of the sources that I have in here, and I can.
And now a source is either a zip file, PDF, and or a audio saving based on a conversation you had with yourself.
Yeah, it's anything. So let's see. Let's see. If you provide feedback, human reviewers, blah blah blah. So I'm trying to. Let me go back to the. Excuse me. All right. So if we go to the sources, upload sources, right? Um, these are the sources that you can use. So I had just dragged and dropped in from a file folder, and it went through. But you can connect to your Google Drive and YouTube links and website links. This is, or yeah, or just text or whatever you want to put in there. So like, I didn't see this website one before, which is interesting. I'm going to do a test on this, I think. And then YouTube videos here. So let's say I wanted to take, or actually, let's, you give me an example, like anything.
For YouTube?
Yeah, so let's just think of a topic that that we'd want to go over.
Well, one that's been top of mind for me is co-packing.
Co-packing? Okay. So let's do this. Let's go to YouTube. So this is asking for the URL, so we'll need another step of, let's see. I don't even know which.
Maybe come up as co-packaging, but people refer to co-packing.
Co-packing. Services?
Services. Yep.
All right. So I don't know anything about co-packing right now. So let's just
You can, you can do that
start.
first one right there.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
I'll take that. Copy. Uh,
I'm glad I can help enlighten you on this, Andre.
YouTube. All right, so we've got one video in there right now, and then we'll just take, I don't know, we'll look for a couple more. 3 ways co-packers charge food business. Sure.
Watched that one last night, so
Oh yeah. So you'll have some insight in there. It'd be cool if you could do like a bulk upload, and maybe you can.
that would be.
And let's see. Let's do a filter for one that's longer than, or like that's at least 20 minutes. So we get some juice. Yeah, unlocking co-packing success.
Oh.
And then let's do one website. We'll just find a co-packing website because I haven't used that, the website thing, and I'd be interested to see what that pulls in. What? Supposed to search. All right, we'll just use co-packing. I have no idea what that's gonna show, but we'll find out. Because I wonder like how deep it goes into the website. It probably
Is it a 30,000 view surface, or is it like a deep, detailed analysis?
yeah, and I think it does put in some work because, well, you can see here, it's still spinning, and then when I generate this, it's going to take a little bit to go through. I'm probably not going to generate that. Well, I will generate that, but then at the same time, we can like go over the questions after here. So while that's loading, I can probably just start asking some questions. So what's a good question to ask about co-packing?
When should entrepreneurs start using a co-packing service?
When?
Yeah, when?
And this is the first time that I've like tried asking it questions directly. All right, here we go. So here are some insights. When scaling up from cottage food law limitations, when you need to increase production capacity, when seeking expansion, focus on sales and marketing, and when seeking certifications and compliance. So in looking at whatever you see there, how's that line up with what you've been
Searching? Yeah, that lines up perfectly.
And then if I look, it looks like I'm just looking at the sources. Okay, yeah. So here you can see this is pulling from the sources and showing you where it's coming from.
Yep.
And then if we look at here, you can see the transcript. Let's see. How did I find that before? Yeah. So if I click on it, it gives me the transcript here. And then, I don't know why it says this video is unavailable, but what happens? Well, that's weird. But it did pull the transcript, so that was the important part to get the information out of it. This must go in pretty deep, or it's hitting an issue along the way, and like maybe there's some JavaScript or something that it's running up against. I don't know. But the other cool thing on here, and we'll just do it from what's there as opposed to just dealing with that is that uh, podcast, the deep dive conversation, and I'll just click it and then I'll send you the file afterwards because I know you got to go in a couple minutes. But after once this is done and send it to the file, you can like take a look at it. And what's cool there is like you can see the transcript of that as well. And the transcript, this is something I thought of this morning on a kind of side note. I don't know. Like I found using transcripts is really useful because you've got that data and you can do stuff like this, right? You can put it into anything else. And for me, my process of getting transcripts in the past, before I knew about this, was a lot different because I'd use Adobe Premiere so I'd drop it into like Adobe and then use their transcript tool and pull the transcript, and I wouldn't save that file at all, and that it would be like a 3-step process to get the transcript. With here, I can just drop in whatever, and especially with the YouTube videos, like I don't know if you've ever tried to get transcripts off of YouTube videos. Sometimes they're available, sometimes they aren't, but it's still that whole process of copying, pasting, all this stuff. If you just have the link, put it in there, now your transcript is available right there. It's
quick thought as you're going through this and you're kind of going over this, 30,000 foot view. So we're going to get a transcript on co-packing versus self-manufactured food products, right? Now, we're going to have that transcript. Now, hypothetically, we could take that transcript and butt it up against another transcript that we could create, say, on, I don't know, entrepreneurs doing DIY projects or so forth, and then have the two transcripts generate another podcast and basically talk with each other.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And as you said that there, it's really cool. What you could do is, from a data perspective, if you're tagging all of those, so if you're tagging every transcript with the topic or whatever like that, you can start looking at cross-referencing related topics and stuff. So here we're talking about co-packing and entrepreneurship. So then say we've got another entrepreneurship talk that has nothing to do with co-packing, but entrepreneurship is that tag. Then we can say, all right, well, what does this look like if we have this conversation? It's kind of like you ever played that I can't remember what it's called, Tiny God or whatever it is, where you like basically water and fire, you combine those and it makes smoke, and then so you got the smoke element, and then you say smoke and fire create it. It's really fun. But
I haven't, but I understand the concept you're going for. But yeah, I mean that could be a great way to take like interesting subjects like the trending right now. I don't want to use anything political, but let's do like electric cars are still trending, right? And the benefits and cons with that, and how they're being manufactured, what's the source of the raw materials, and how that's affecting the planet and so forth. You take that and then you butt it up against something like the oil industry, right? That's completely 180-degree difference, and just have them not go at each other, but like debate it through the transcripts.
Yeah.
That's just one example of like something that's trending right now. But there's all kinds of stuff that's always trending, and with this process, you could easily, with a few, probably with 30 minutes of time, could build a podcast that could be a hit because something's trending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're just working on the trend. Did you see the directories video I sent?
I watched half of it. I haven't finished yet. It was quite a long video.
So yeah, it was long. One of the things on that though, speaking of like the trending stuff, that's one of the things that I took away from that. How that guy goes through and his process for building the directory site, and a directory site is actually like what I've been at the root of a lot of the stuff I've been working on, is just curation of information is what I'm interested in. But what he does is he'll look on Google Trends I think it's called Google Trends, and look for the keywords based on whatever it is that he wants to go, and then he'll like tweak it, and he starts looking for a website name first, like a domain name that's available. I don't know how far you watch, but he talks about like small business ideas, and then he found the domain name minibusinessideas.com and was able to do that. And the way that Google's search algorithm works now, it doesn't look for specific names, but it also looks for adjectives, or not adjectives, the words are the same meaning, whatever that word is. Synonyms. There we go. So I think that's probably part of that process is, to your point of the trending, is finding those trends that translate well, and just building out the things that generate the most amount of interest based on those trends.
Yeah, has a lot of different capabilities. Now, is there a limitation to how much you can use this platform?
There is a limitation to the sources, and I don't know what that is because I noticed it. There's like a little bar. I think it's where did I see it? That wasn't it.
It's essentially, I mean, you can almost start your own.
Down here, source limit. So 3 out of 50. So you've got 50 sources, but it doesn't look like there's like a size limit. It's just like it's just a hard 50, which is adequate for most things. I mean,
right now, is that 50 for this one notebook, or is that 50 for like the day, the month?
For this one notebook. So in here I've got 3 because it said 3 out of 50. This one's still loading. Oh, this one couldn't load. Let's see, what did it say? Transient error. Please try again. I don't know what that is, but
interesting.
But like if you look at this one,
like, is this
got 18. What's that?
Is this like a subscription service we have to pay for it monthly?
No, not right now. Right now it's free.
Free?
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to figure out the limitations of this because, I mean, you could almost start a YouTube channel as well to start because that's relatively low overhead, and then just start putting podcasts out there based on trending hits and see if you get a following.
Well, that's what I'm doing with Genesis Materials, that page. So I don't know if I talked to you much about that, but the idea is to use that as essentially a TV station and feed in through automatic posting whatever content it is. So as I make this type of content, for example, I'll just put that in a block of time and like set that to play at scheduled times on that page is a way to push it, I guess.
Right. That makes sense. Interesting. I'm at the think over this as well, like throughout the day, the next couple of days, some different ways you can definitely monetize it because there's different routes you can go. I kind of after speaking to you and watching you do this process, I kind of really like the processes of like the law firm example. Because there's a ton of small businesses out there that have like SOPs or what they think is SOPs, but they could streamline it so much more and be more efficient in everything they do. And they'd probably be willing to have a monthly subscription fee to have this service and to add on to it as they have new processes come on board for their business.
And I figure at the very least have a service to introduce businesses to, or introduce the IT teams or the data teams to these processes and make it accessible, as opposed to just some mystery like that exists that nobody knows about and could certainly leverage.
Right, and then the recipe one's a little harder to do because it takes a lot more data and storing data and analyzing the data, but it's definitely a different avenue you can go down.
Yeah, I think that would be one that I don't know if I think you need a larger. Well, actually, let's say there's this business, so there's probably NotebookLM business. I'm assuming has more features. Training out. Yeah, it doesn't really show what the difference is as far as sources go.
Right.
But in any case,
I guess for the next steps is I'll definitely get on this and check this out and play with it myself and see if I have any more follow-up questions for you, and then we can touch base again and based on what you learned and so forth and move forward.
Yeah, try to break it. See what you can throw at it from your own perspective.
I'm good at breaking stuff. Okay? That's my specialty.
All right, then. Well, you have a good Thanksgiving and enjoy your day.
You too, Trey. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be digging into something that I know a lot of you are curious about. Co-packing versus doing it yourself.
Absolutely.
Taking your food product from your kitchen to the store shelves.
Yeah.
And to help us kind of break it all down, we've got 2 YouTube videos that we're going to be looking at: recipe for retail and marketing food online.
Okay.
And then we're also going to get some insider perspective.
Oh, nice.
From this podcast episode, we found expert CPG commerce with Kit Maxfield,
Awesome.
who runs a co-packing company called Motherload Co-packing.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to hear from someone who's actually in the trenches,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to read advice online or whatever, but to actually hear it from somebody who's, run a co-packing operation is invaluable.
Totally. So let's jump right in with recipe for retail. This video kicks off with kind of a reality check.
Okay.
If you're thinking about, I want to make this product myself and sell it in stores.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, right. And a lot of that has to do with you just can't scale up home production to what these big retailers need.
Right.
They need a certain volume.
Yeah.
They have very strict requirements in terms of, safety and just consistency.
Right, like food safety certifications.
Absolutely. We're talking certified facilities, compliance with FDA regulations, USDA certifications, if applicable.
Yeah, they even mentioned some acronyms that I wasn't even familiar with at first.
Oh.
They mentioned SQF and GFSI.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are...
So SQF, that's Safety Quality Food Institute,
Okay,
and GFSI is the Global Food Safety Initiative.
gotcha.
And so these are just, think of them as stamps of approval
Okay,
that prove that your production process is up to snuff.
right.
And retailers want to see that.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So, DIY isn't as simple as it sounds, but Recipe for Retail did point out some of the appealing factors,
Yeah.
like potentially lower per unit cost, once you're up and running.
And also just that you have complete control over your recipe.
Right.
And, can make changes really quickly if you need to.
Yeah, you get that flexibility. And that's really tempting, especially if you're, very hands-on and really want to have control over everything. But, you're also shouldering the burden of all of that upfront investment. I mean, you've got the building the equipment, you're hiring staff, not to mention the ongoing costs of, maintaining all of those certifications and passing third-party audits. So it's
a lot.
It's a massive commitment financially and also in terms of your time.
Yeah, it's a whole other job on top of,
Absolutely.
developing and marketing your product.
Yeah.
Okay, so DIY might be off the table for some folks.
Okay.
So what about this co-packer route?
Right.
So both of the YouTube videos, Recipe for Retail and Marketing Food Online, they both highlighted the convenience factor.
Yeah.
They've already got the certifications, they've got the equipment, they've got the staff. You just bring the recipe.
Yeah. Speaking of recipes,
Yeah.
There was something in Recipe for Retail that I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
Protect that recipe.
Good point.
Make sure you have a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Look over any mutual non-disclosure agreements before you share your secret formula with anybody.
Yeah. Your recipe is your IP.
It is.
Absolutely. Marketing Food Online also pointed out a potential bonus of going with a co-packer,
Oh, yeah.
bulk discounts.
Oh, right.
So that, they're buying tons of packaging material.
Yeah.
So they might be able to get you a better price on things like, cartons, bottles, whatever you
Okay,
need.
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's like an added perk.
Yeah,
Okay, but let's be real. Co-packing comes at a cost.
of course.
And Marketing Food Online was very upfront about that.
Yeah.
You'll likely pay more per unit
Right,
than if you were to make it yourself.
right.
And they broke it down into the 3 ways that co-packers typically charge.
Okay.
You've got your per unit charge, your hourly rate, and then a flat day rate.
Gotcha.
And the Marketing Food Online video gives you a good sense of kind of the range for each of those pricing models.
Okay.
But you'll definitely want to research that further
Yeah.
based on your specific product and needs.
Right. And remember, it's not just those upfront fees.
Right.
Marketing Food Online, they cautioned about hidden costs and markups.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So make sure you're comparing apples to apples when you're getting those quotes.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because it can be kind of confusing
Totally.
to sort through all that.
Yes.
Another thing that Recipe for Retail mentioned was lead times.
Oh, right.
So, co-packers, they're juggling multiple clients.
Yeah.
So they often need, 6 to 10 weeks
Wow.
to get your product made.
Okay, so that's something to definitely factor into the planning process.
Yeah.
Especially, if you're working towards specific launch dates or you've got seasonal products or something like that.
Right.
You don't want to be caught off guard.
Totally. But the good thing is, as your product gains traction and, your order volume increases,
Right.
you can often renegotiate those terms.
Oh, okay.
So you might be able to secure volume discounts.
Right.
Or faster turnaround times
Okay.
as you become, a bigger client.
Yeah, it's all about playing the long game. Right.
Exactly. Okay, so let's bring in this expert CPG commerce podcast
All right.
and see what Kit Maxfield has to say, because his perspective was really fascinating to me.
Oh, I love how he frames co-packing.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't just talk about it as a transaction.
Right.
It's like a genuine partnership.
Yeah, he talks about finding a co-packer who shares your values and understands your vision and is invested in your success.
Absolutely.
That's
It's
right.
not just a quick fix.
Right.
You're choosing a collaborator,
Yes.
not just a service provider.
Yes, exactly. That's a really great way to put it. And he also gets into some of the nitty-gritty, like, certifications.
Okay.
And as your brand grows,
Yeah.
you'll likely need to step up your game. He mentioned specifically SQF Level 2
Right.
as being a must-have if you want to work with, the big dogs like Costco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he also talked about GFSI and BRC certifications
Oh, okay.
becoming increasingly important.
So is that British Retail Consortium?
Yes.
Okay.
And then plus, don't forget about insurance,
Oh, right.
particularly recall insurance.
Yeah,
He really stressed that one based on his experience.
which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you just
You
never
wa-
know.
You want to be protected
Absolutely.
if something unexpected happens.
Yeah. And he actually made a really interesting point about smaller co-packers.
Oh, okay.
They might not have those higher level certifications,
Right.
which could actually limit your growth potential down the line.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So even if you're starting small now,
Right.
you kind of need to think about where you want to be in a few years.
Yeah, it goes back to that long-term vision.
Right.
If you're thinking nationwide distribution,
Yeah.
you need somebody who can handle that and who can meet those requirements.
Totally. All right. So Kit also shared some really cool insights into some of the market trends that he's seeing.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Yeah. So he's seeing a surge in demand for ethnic flavors,
Oh, interesting.
which I think reflects, just a broader trend of people wanting more diverse, authentic food experiences.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's something to think about, with your own product.
Yeah, how does that play into
And
your...
your niche or what you're doing.
Exactly, and then packaging is evolving too.
Oh, in what ways?
He talked about a noticeable shift from glass to plastic.
Interesting.
And I think that's driven in part by consumer demand for convenience and durability.
Yeah. Glass is, elegant, but it's heavy and breakable.
Right?
And plastic is lighter,
Yeah.
more durable,
Yeah.
often cheaper to produce.
Right. And speaking of innovation, remember what he said about Hoi Fong and their brilliant squeeze bottle for sriracha?
Oh, yeah, with that a little pointy tip.
That directional tips?
Yeah.
That's genius. They solved a problem.
Yeah.
People wanted more control over where that sauce goes,
Yeah.
and now everybody recognizes that bottle.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about choosing the right co-packer.
Okay.
So Kit recommends starting small,
Okay.
maybe with a local co-packer for your initial runs.
Gotcha.
But he also cautioned against getting too comfortable with a smaller operation.
Oh, okay.
If your goal is to scale up significantly,
Right.
you don't want to outgrow their capabilities.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, especially if you're aiming for, national distribution.
Right.
So he's a big advocate for choosing a co-packer who aligns with your values and can grow with your business.
Yeah.
Even if that means starting with, someone slightly larger than you might initially need.
Right.
And he also talked about transparency being key.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that whole process.
Yeah.
Open communication, clear pricing contracts that are, mutually beneficial.
Right. It's all about building that trust and that shared goal.
Exactly. You're building a partnership, not just,
Right.
signing a deal.
Exactly.
Okay, so to recap, there's a lot to consider when you're deciding between doing it yourself or going the co-packer route.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got your costs, you've got control scalability, the dynamics of that partnership.
Right.
But before we move on, let's just acknowledge, I think it can feel overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a big decision.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
But you've got this.
you do.
We've given you the intel from these videos and Kit's insights.
Yep.
Now it's all about applying it to your specific product and your goals.
Absolutely. And remember, there's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
What works for somebody else might not work for you.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Do your research and find a co-packer that, feels like a true extension of your team.
I love that.
An extension of your team.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
If something feels off about a potential co-packer,
yeah,
it probably is.
Yeah. Trust that.
Yeah. All right. So in part 2, we're going to dive into some specific questions that you can ask
good.
potential co-packers.
Right.
To help you make that informed decision.
Awesome. I'm excited for that.
Happy to.
I can't wait.
Okay. So you've weighed the pros and cons. You've heard Kit's wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And you're leaning team co-packer.
Yeah.
So now what?
Now it's time to put those potential partners to the test.
Okay.
Think of it like a job interview.
Ooh.
I like that. But for your business.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they're the right fit.
Okay.
Practically and personality-wise.
I love that analogy. Okay, so what are some of the key questions that we should be asking these potential co-packers?
So first off, you want to think about their experience and expertise.
Okay.
Have they worked with products that are similar to yours?
Right.
Do they understand your target market?
Yeah, because a co-packer who's great with granola bars might not be the best fit for a delicate sauce. Yeah.
Exactly. You want somebody who's got a track record in your niche.
Yes.
It's one thing to say, oh, yeah, we can make that.
Right.
It's another to have proven that they can do it well and at scale.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so experience, expertise. Got it.
What's next?
What else?
Certifications and capabilities.
Okay.
Do they have the certifications to meet your needs?
Right.
And the requirements of the retailers you're aiming for?
Yes.
What's their production capacity? Can they handle your current volume?
Right.
And crucially, can they scale up as you grow?
Well, that's a good point about scalability. You don't want to be stuck switching co-packers, right when your product takes off.
Right. You don't want to outgrow them.
Exactly.
And then while we're talking logistics,
Yeah.
lead times.
Oh, yeah.
How long will it take them to produce your product from start to finish?
Right. That's so important for planning.
It is.
Inventory and, hitting those deadlines.
Yeah. Especially if you're working with seasonal products or you've got like a specific launch date.
Yeah.
You need a co-packer who can work within your time frame.
Okay. Lead times noted.
Speaking of time frame,
Yes.
minimum order quantities.
Ah, yes.
Some co-packers might have minimums that are just too high for where you're at right now.
Right.
Especially if you're starting small and testing the market.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be stuffed with a warehouse full of product that isn't moving.
Exactly. All right, next up,
Uh-huh.
money.
Okay. The big one?
This is crucial. Get a crystal clear understanding of their pricing structure.
Okay.
Do they charge per unit by the hour or a flat day rate?
Mm-hmm.
What are their fees for packaging, labeling, storage?
Yeah.
Get it all in writing.
And don't be afraid to ask about, potential hidden costs.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Marketing Food Online warned us about those.
Those gotchas.
Yeah. Things like, rush orders, last minute changes to the production schedule, extra quality control testing.
Mm-hmm.
Those can add up really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Transparency is key.
Yes.
You want a partner who's upfront about their pricing,
Right.
not someone who's going to throw surprise fees at you later on.
Totally. Okay. So we've covered costs.
All right. What about quality?
Okay. Yeah. Quality, the heart of it all.
Right. Ask about their quality control processes.
Okay.
How do they ensure that your product is going to meet your exact specifications
Right.
and your quality standards?
Because you're trusting them with, your recipe, your brand,
Absolutely.
your customer satisfaction.
Exactly. Dig into their procedures for ingredient sourcing, production monitoring, finished product inspection, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. You want a co-packer who is as obsessed with quality as you are.
Absolutely. All right. Last but not least,
Okay.
communication.
Yes. This is a big one.
This can make or break a partnership.
Oh, for sure.
So ask about their communication and reporting processes.
Okay.
How often will they update you on the progress of your production run?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of reports will they provide? Do they have a dedicated point person that you can contact with questions or concerns?
You don't want to be chasing them down for updates.
Exactly. You want to find a co-packer who's proactive,
Right.
responsive,
Mm-hmm.
keeps you in the loop every step of the way.
Totally. And I think beyond, the logistics and the processes,
Yeah.
pay attention to the personal connection too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel comfortable with these people?
Right.
Do you trust their expertise?
Do they get your vision for the product?
Yes. Do they share your passion?
Yeah, it's like any relationship, you need that sense of mutual respect and shared enthusiasm.
You're choosing a partner, not just a vendor.
Exactly. Okay. So you've asked all the right questions.
Right.
You've gotten a feel for each co-packer.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's decision time.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this is where things can get a little tricky.
Okay.
You've got to weigh all the factors,
Yeah.
cost, capabilities, lead times, personality fit.
Right. How do you balance all that?
It's tough. There's no magic formula. But here's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Revisit that vision we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Picture your product 3 years from now.
Okay.
Is it a local favorite at farmers markets?
Okay.
Or is it flying off the shelves at Whole Foods nationwide?
Hey, like where you're going with this.
Right. So that vision, that's your North Star.
Yes.
It's going to help you prioritize what's truly important in a co-packer.
Okay.
So if national distribution is the goal,
Yeah.
maybe you prioritize certifications and scalability over, a slightly lower per unit cost.
Right.
If you're all about hyper-local,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that smaller co-packer with the personal touch is the perfect fit.
It's about aligning your choice with your long-term aspirations.
Exactly.
But I think even with the best research and planning,
Yeah.
there's always that element of intuition involved.
Absolutely. Don't underestimate the power of your gut feeling.
Yes.
If something feels off about a particular co-packer,
Yeah.
no matter how good they look on paper,
Right.
trust that instinct.
It's like dating for your business.
It is. You got to find that special someone
You got to find the one.
who just gets you.
Yes. And once you found that perfect match,
Yeah,
it's like you're ready to say, I do to this co-packer.
exactly. You're ready to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah. Get that paperwork going.
Yep. Time to make it official.
Okay. So contracts, pricing, production schedules, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And this is where having a good lawyer
Oh, yeah.
is essential.
Absolutely.
They can help you navigate those contracts, make sure that your interests are protected and, just avoid any nasty surprises down the line.
Yeah. You don't want to get stuck in a bad deal.
Nope.
So, yeah, definitely worth the investment to get a lawyer involved.
Absolutely.
Don't try to DIY the legal stuff.
No.
Okay. So once you've got the legal side sorted,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about, building that strong working relationship with your co-packer.
Right.
And remember what Kit said about communication being so important.
Oh, yeah. He was all about open, honest dialogue.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, share concerns, give feedback. It's about working together
Yeah.
as a team.
It's a two-way street for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to be proactive too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't just wait for them to contact you.
Right.
Check in regularly, stay on top of production schedules, anticipate any potential challenges, before they become big problems.
It's about being a good partner, not just a client.
Exactly. Okay, so you and your co-packer,
Yeah.
you're like in this dance together.
You're waltzing into success.
Yes.
Hmm.
And that dance might evolve as your business grows. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You might need to renegotiate terms, adjust those production schedules, explore new packaging options.
Yeah.
So flexibility is key.
It is. And the food industry,
It's constantly changing.
always evolves.
You need a co-packer who can kind of adapt and innovate right alongside you.
Mm-hmm. And as Kit said,
Yeah.
the right co-packer can be so much more than just a manufacturer.
Oh, yeah.
They can be a valuable partner in your growth and success.
Like a true extension of your team.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap things up here,
Yeah.
let's circle back to one of Kit's, kind of parting words of wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
defining what success looks like for your product.
Okay.
Because that
Yeah.
vision,
Yeah,
it's going to guide pretty much every decision you make,
it will.
from choosing a co-packer to your marketing strategy to, how you measure your progress.
It's your compass.
Exactly. So let's get super specific here.
Okay.
Picture your product 3 years from now.
Okay.
Where is it?
All right.
Who's buying it?
Okay.
What does it feel like to have achieved that success?
Let that fuel your fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember, there will be bumps in the road.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the journey.
Absolutely.
But with the right knowledge, the right partners, and a whole lot of, grit and determination,
Mm-hmm.
you can overcome those challenges and make that vision a reality.
The food world is full of people just like you.
Yeah.
They're out there making it happen.
And we're here to support you every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So go out there, create something delicious, and make your mark on the world.
We can't wait to see what you achieve.
That's a wrap on this deep dive. But the journey is just beginning for you.
It is.
We've got tons of other episodes on all sorts of topics, so be sure to explore and keep learning.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us.